Welcome to Celtics Today. I am Will Scott. We're going to talk about some news and trade rumors in a second. Obviously, a lot to discuss after the Celtics 102-120 loss in Chicago last night. But first, go down, subscribe to the channel, because if a move happens, we have you covered. And like I said, plenty of trade rumors to discuss as well. Go down, turn on your notifications, and hit that big red subscribe button to stay in the loop with Celtics news. Didn't want to start the show talking about some trade rumors because Bleacher Report posted an article about one trade idea for every single team. Here was the trade idea they had for Boston. I was not crazy about it. I'll give my thoughts here in a second, but Kenrich Williams would be headed here to Boston. He currently plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder would receive a second-round pick next year, and Payton Pritchard. Yeah, like I said, not crazy about it. Are you crazy about it or not so much? Let me know down in the comments section. Would you do this trade? Type D for deal or type ND for no deal down in the comments section. It's the pinned comment. Reply to it when you get a second. Would you trade Payton Pritchard and a 2023 second-round pick to Oklahoma City? In return, you would be getting Kenrich Williams, the veteran forward. This trade sucks, just to be blunt. Not only would you be giving up Payton Pritchard, which I really don't want to trade Pritch, you would be getting a below-average player in Kenrich Williams. Payton Pritchard has a lot more upside than Williams. Yes, they play two different positions. Yes, you need depth down low more than you need guard depth. No question about that. But this is one of the worst trade ideas I've ever seen. Bleacher Report tries to explain it. Boston could use some front court depth with Danilo Gallinari out for the season with a torn ACL, and Robert Williams III projected to miss the first few months following knee surgery. It's worth noting that Williams III should return early in 2023, hopefully a January return for Williams, if not earlier. Kenrich Williams is a strong 6'6" forward who could take over Gallo's projected role while bringing some versatile defense and shot making to the Celtics bench. With the offseason trade for Malcolm Brogdon to go along with Marcus Smart, Derrick White, Jaylen Brown, and Jayson Tatum, Boston no longer needs Pritchard's playmaking as much as last year. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. The fact that the Celtics need some forward depth, some depth down low, they need that more than they do guard depth at this point, right? Pritchard might not play as big of a role as he did last season, but again, he has a lot more upside than Williams. Here is what Williams did last season in Oklahoma City. He's averaging about 3.5 points per game in OKC's first 3 games this season, but here's what he did last season. 7.4 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, 1.7 assists per game, a 46% percentage shooting the basketball. There's better options if you want to help your depth down low. Jared Vanderbilt. Heck, if you wanted to make a trade with the Thunder, how about Derek Favors? There's a lot better options on the table here for the Celtics. Not to mention, I don't even think you'd have to give up Payton Pritchard to get Williams. I think that you could trade just the second-round pick and make this trade happen. Here is what Payton Pritchard did last season with Boston: 6.2 points per game, 2 assists per game, shot 42% from the floor. But the most impressive number he put up was his three-point shooting percentage, 41.2% from three. He shot well from three early in the season here as well, which is why I don't think you should trade Payton Pritchard. Having depth at the guard position is not a bad thing. Yes, you got Malcolm Brogdon already coming off the bench. What if he gets injured? What if Marcus Smart gets injured? Nice to have a guy like Payton Pritchard to help fill that void, right? J.D. Davison is going to be with Maine probably for majority of this season. So, yes, you do have him as well. If you do trade Pritchard, maybe you have a more increased role for Davison, your second-round pick out of Alabama. More increased role in Boston for him, but do not trade Pritchard. He's a fan favorite. I think a lot of us would not do this trade. If you're going to trade him, at least have it be for a pretty good player. I mean, to trade Pritchard for Kenrich Williams is not the move. Brad Stevens would not be that stupid. Brad knows what he's doing. I think Brad likes Pritch as well, so I don't think that trade will happen. But that is Bleacher Report's trade idea here for the Boston Celtics. We'll talk about better trade ideas in the near future. Talk about a good deal here, though, with this Celtics hoodie. 40% off for a limited time. Go and take advantage of it. It is hoodie season, especially in Boston. The temperatures are changing. It's getting colder. Chatsports.com/Celtics hoodie. It's normally $70 right now. It's $41. Go and take advantage of it. I love that design as well. Again, 40% off. That link, chatsports.com/Celtics hoodie, is in the comments and the description of this video. Let's shift gears now to last night's game. A shocking result here if you watch the start of it. 102-120, the Bulls coming on top of the Celtics and handing the Celtics their first loss of the season. Tatum dropped 26 in the losing effort. Jaylen Brown, 21 points. Brogdon, 12 points off the bench. DeMar DeRozan, man, still a good player. Been one of the more consistent players in the league the last decade or so. 25 points on 10 of 17 shooting. Zach LaVine, 19 points. Io, man's heck of a player. He was tough to stop last night. Only missed one shot. But if you watch the start of the game, you're probably wondering, what happened? The Celtics jumped out to a 19-point first quarter lead, and like that, poof, it was gone. The Bulls end up winning by 18 points, a collapse by Boston. Maybe officiating partially to blame. We'll talk about that in a second. But it was just a stunning result last night. They get out to this 19-point first quarter lead. I remember watching, and I remember saying, the Celtics are going to go 82-0. They're not going to lose a game. Tatum's going to average 40 points a game. The Celtics are not going to lose a game all year. And then all of a sudden, the Celtics went cold. Tatum got a little bit cold, and the Bulls got back in the game and eventually pulled away here, handing the C's their first loss. Boston now 3-1. Chicago now 2-2. I want to know, what is your one-word reaction to last night's game? I expect to see some interesting one-word reactions down in the comment section. Go down, let me know what your one-word reaction is. Speaking of one word, ejected. Joe Mazulla, the Celtics interim head coach, was ejected last night in the third quarter, picked up 2 technical fouls with just under 5 minutes left in the third quarter. I don't think he was very happy with the officiating that was going on. A lot of questionable calls last night. Good for Joe Mazulla, man. Here he is getting ejected in his 4th career game as an NBA head coach. And I love the fire that he brings to the bench every single night. And so good for Joe Mazulla standing up for his guys because he needed certainly to make a statement last night with those 2 technical fouls. And it was just a disaster all around, talking about how the Celtics went cold, the Bulls came back, and the officiating as well. It is worth noting that Grant Williams was also ejected. This was interesting. Because Grant Williams got a foul called on him. He reacted and kind of grazed the official. It was unintentional. It was clear when watching it live that it was unintentional. Watching it back on replay was unintentional. I mean, when I talk about graze, it's just like barely touched this official and got ejected for it. He got up. He took what he felt like was a charge. They call it a blocking foul. He got up, kind of ran up confused, accidentally grazed the official and got ejected. The officiating in this game was an absolute joke. That being said, there's no excuse for blowing a 19-point first quarter lead and doing it as quickly as they did. But the officiating in this game, man, was not good. It's a big reason the Celtics lost the game last night. Again, no excuses for blowing that big lead, but I want you to go down, grade the officiating. Type A, B, C, D, or F. Look, I don't like blaming officials after a loss. I don't like to sound like a Knicks fan blaming the officials after every loss. But type A, B, C, D, or F down in the comment section. Grade the officiating last night. Joe was ejected. Grant was ejected. Just disastrous. Here is the upcoming schedule for the C's. Luckily, they have a few nights off to kind of regroup after their first loss of the year. You got Cleveland coming to town on Friday after a 3-game road trip. The C's finally back at TD Garden. Then you have Washington at home this weekend, both those games. You should win both those games. Then you go to Cleveland November 2nd. Then you host Chicago November 4th. My calendar's marked for November 4th. You have got to win that basketball game after what happened last night. Hopefully it's not the same officiating crew. November 5th at New York. So an interesting stretch coming up here for the C's, but a very winnable stretch. I would not be surprised to see them rattle off a few straight wins here after their first loss of the season.